Hello, welcome to my channel WWE Pulse.
I think it's safe to say that NXT is at a very exciting time right now. And even though there's been some bumps along the way, we are getting exactly what Triple H promised us when he teased NXT 2.0 Viking Uggles. We are indeed getting a brand new NXT, one that'll aim to be better than ever before. And if you don't believe me, well, you can just ask the person who runs the brand today. In this case, Shawn Michaels. Because as Triple H alluded to months ago, this isn't just a rebrand, but a complete overhaul of the developmental brand, which means starting from scratch and building everything up again. Now, obviously, that's no easy task, especially when your competition is as stacked as AEW's currently is with their own developmental brand. But considering how strong the likes of Daniel Bryan, Rhea Ripley, Karrion Kross, Adam Cole, Pete Dunne, and others have been since arriving on the main roster, it seems like NXT is still the place to be for WWE's up-and-comers. With all of that being said, though, let us take a look back at the key moments of NXT 2.0 and how it has changed the black and gold brand forever. And for more on everything to do with WWE, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's time to look back at some of the biggest moments in NXT history. Starting off with the moment that kicked it all off. Viking August Hunter and his wife, Stephanie McMahon, appeared on the final episode of NXT before the rebrand took effect. Now, they didn't appear on the show itself, but instead were shown on a video screen in the Performance Center where they addressed the NXT superstars backstage. It was here that Triple H pitched the idea of NXT 2.0 to the entire roster and explained that this is an opportunity for them to build the next era of Raw. And he also made it clear that this is something that NXT needs to take advantage of, or else they'll lose the attention of the fans. The game then introduced Shawn Michaels as the new head of NXT, replacing him in the position. And after Triple H and Steph left the room, Shawn spoke to the NXT superstars about how special this opportunity is and how this is going to be something different to what NXT was previously. Michaels also told the wrestlers to go out there and take risks, while admitting that not everyone may get called up to the main roster and therefore they need to perform in order to secure themselves a spot. He then reminded the wrestlers that the pressure is now on and that they need to deliver. After this promo, most of the NXT superstars made their way out of the PC and down to the Capitol Wrestling Center for the last time as the old NXT. And once they got to the arena, they were greeted by their old entrance team playing through the speakers, which gave almost the entire roster good. They then made their way into the ring and stood together as a brand new NXT was born. Following this very emotional segment, Triple H would speak to the media and discuss the upcoming changes to NXT. He started off by saying that NXT is not a dying brand. It's a new brand. It's a whole different thing. Hunter then said that the Performance Center was not set up to train talent to go to Roars. It was set up to train talent to start NXT. It's too bad. There's so many similarities. He went on to say that there are several people in NXT who could headline any event for WWE. Triple H then said that he wants to build NXT to be its own entity again. And he wants NXT to be the best wrestling show in the world. He also mentioned that this was not a decision that was made overnight, but it was actually something that he'd been thinking about doing for the past year or so. And due to COVID, it just sped up the process. Hunter then ended things by making it clear that this is not goodbye, but instead, hello. Following Triple H's comments, we saw a brand new set for NXT, a brand new logo and a much more colorful presentation overall. Some people liked the change and others preferred the old black and gold branding. Either way though, this was definitely a huge change for the company. And we were yet to see just how big this rebrand really was. At NXT TakeOver 36, we saw a lot of debuts for the new NXT. Starting off, we saw a debut of Persia Perota, aka Gigi Dolan, alongside JC Jane. Then later on in the night, we saw the debut of a returning Odyssey Jones, who looked completely different too when he first signed with the company. And finally, we saw the debut of Tony D'Angelo and his bodyguard, Stax. All of these debuts played a part in kicking off the new NXT, although none of them were as important as the debut of the leader of the Diamond Mine, Malcolm. As it turns out, Malcolm is actually a returning WWE superstar. That's right. Malcolm is none other than the former NXT Tag Team Champion and Ohio State Buckeye, Steve Cutler. Since debuting on the black and gold brand, Malcolm has wasted no time in putting himself over as a top heel in the brand. He's already had multiple matches against some of the top babyfaces in the brand, including LA Knight and Cameron Grimes. And he's set to continue his quest for gold in the weeks and months ahead. Speaking of debuts, though, another huge debut came following TakeOver 36, when WWE officially announced that the legendary Samoa Joe was returning to in-ring competition. Joe's return match was set for the following week's episode of NXT, where he would face off against the aforementioned Odyssey Jones. Unfortunately, though, Jones suffered an injury during the match, which forced Joe to pick up the win. But this didn't stop the powerhouse from picking up a win of his own the following week, when he defeated Killian Dane in a brutal strap match. Joe hasn't been on NXT TV since 2017, when he lost the NXT Championship to Drew McIntyre. So his return is a huge boost for the brand, and I'm excited to see where WWE plans to go with him. There was even a bit of a main roster call-up sprinkled in there too. Remember how I mentioned that Samoa Joe's first match back was against Odyssey Jones? Well, as it turns out, Jones is actually a member of the 2021 WWE Draft class, meaning he's eligible to be picked up by either Raw or... And it looks like the plan is for Jones to stay on NXT for a little while longer. At the recent WWE Draft, Odyssey was drafted to Monday Night Raw, but he was drafted as a part of the supplemental pick round, meaning he gets to stay on NXT for the next few months until the official call-up. Honestly, this is probably the best move for Jones, as he still needs some time to develop. But it's nice to know that he'll be coming to Raw sooner rather than later. As I mentioned earlier, Shawn Michaels has been at the helm of NXT since August. However, he didn't become the NXT champion until the October 4th episode of NXT. This was due to the fact that he helped AJ Styles retain the title against Johnny Gargano. Because of this, it led to him being challenged by Gargano the following week, which ended up with Shawn picking up the win and becoming the new NXT champion. This was quite surprising given the fact that Shawn had owned wrestled a match since 2010. But even though he may not be the most experienced in-ring competitor anymore, he definitely knows what it takes to be a top guy in the company. And he is looking to use his experience to help the NXT superstars become the best they can possibly be. Although speaking of experience, sometimes having too much experience isn't always a good thing. For example, Braun Breaker. Like many of you watching, I haven't been a huge fan of Braun's presentation since he debuted. Sure, he may be the son of Rick Steiner and the grandson of Scott Steiner, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be handed the championship. Braun has competed in a handful of matches on NXT, and I just haven't seen anything that makes me think that he deserves to be the top guy in the brand. To be honest, I feel like WWE might be trying to push him too hard and too fast, and that could end up doing more harm than good in the long run. I really hope that's not the case, though. I wish WWE would slow down on pushing. Regardless of how I feel about him, though, he did recently pick up a huge win over Joe Gacy, which puts him in line for a future NXT Championship match. Then, of course, we have the current NXT champion, Carmelo Hayes. Hayes won the title back at Halloween Havoc when he defeated Braun Breaker. Since winning the title, he successfully defended it on 2 occasions. Once against Breaker and then again against Joe Gacy. Carmelo is definitely someone that I see being a future world champion. So I'm glad that he is getting the experience and the wins needed to prepare him for a call-up to the main roster. And lastly, let's talk about the current state of the women's division. Ever since the brand new NXT debuted, we've yet to see a brand new women's champion. Instead, we're still seeing the same names competing for the same title. That being said, we have seen some new faces since the rebrand, such as Cora Jade, Lyra Valkyrie, and Wendy Chu. All 3 of these women are still early in their careers, though, and they're probably at least a year away from a title run. In my opinion, I think it's about time that we see a new women's champion. Someone like Mandy Rose would be a great choice. Or even Io Shirai, who's been a staple of the women's division since it was still known as NXT UK. Either way, I think a change is definitely needed. So that's just about everything that's happened on NXT since the rebrand, and honestly, it's been pretty awesome so far. I think Shawn Michaels and the rest of the NXT staff have done an amazing job at reinventing the brand and giving us a product that we can be proud of. However, there is still a long way to go. And I'm excited to see what the future brings to the black and gold brand. What are your thoughts on NXT 2.0? Which NXT star is your favorite right now? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. And if you want to see more videos from the channel, just click one of the links on your screen right now.
Okay guys, thank you for watching my videos.